It's good to have you back with us. Thank you to our show sponsor, Nats Detasseling. Earn cash, build character. Nats Detasseling. Learn more about Nats at notafraidtosweat.com. Our opening segment today is sponsored by U-Stop. Earn points that spend like cash with the kickback card, which could get you snacks and even gas. Available at all 24 U-Stop locations. Hey, shout out to Mark Whitehead, the LIBA board chair, who is in the house this morning. Always appreciate Mark coming in and checking on us to make sure we're managing things correctly. So appreciate Mark stopping down. So if you want to join the conversation today, you can call or text at 402-464-5685. Listen on the 93.7 The Ticket app, theticketfm.com, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Allo Channel 961. We are statewide on Allo 961. Tell your friends all across the state to learn more about your local Lincoln businesses, or you can come right down here to the studio, 1040 O Street. The coffee is hot at the mill today, and my coffee is extra hot with this awesome new coffee mug I got this morning. One of the benefits of doing a radio show right there. So first of all, I just want to welcome Katie from EOS Worldwide to the show. Katie, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, we're excited to have you today. So let's just start out. We're just going to throw that softball out there and let you knock it out. Talk to us about what exactly is EOS Worldwide.
Absolutely. So Katie Kuster, EOS Worldwide EOS stands for Entrepreneurial Operating System. And we're a simple set of practical tools that help you run a better business and live a better life. Now, we're not a software. We are simple concepts packaged together that help you get better at three things we call vision, traction, and healthy. So vision's all about getting everyone in your organization 100% on the same page with where you're going and how you plan to get there. Traction's all about instilling discipline and accountability for your leaders so you can execute on that beautiful vision. And then healthy is all about making your leadership team 100% open and honest and cohesive as a leadership team. We find that as goes the leadership team, so goes the rest of the organization. You get everybody rowing in the same direction. You execute that vision. Great things happen.
Awesome. That's awesome. So how did you become involved with EOS? It's a fun story.
It's
so you might as well.
Story.
We got to share your story.
Yeah. So I actually, prior to doing what I do now, spent 13 years at a local family-owned construction company and originally started in IT, loved it, but did not love fixing computers all day. And so I was good with a spreadsheet and started to move over to the operations side. And over the course of several years, found myself in operations roles and took over one of the divisions that we had that was IT managed service. And we were looking for more structure and read the book Traction, found it, and started to implement it within our organization.
For those of you watching,
yes.
Right here, that was awesome. A great lead in.
There you go.
Here's the book right here. You can check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll even send you a free copy if you want one.
Oh,
yeah.
Free books.
Yeah. So we implemented in about 18 months. We saw great results and we were actually making great profit. And so the president of the organization sat down with me and said, hey, how do we do this company wide? And so we started implementing. It's been now 5 years ago, and we hired an EOS implementer, which is what I do now. And we saw our organization just skyrocket. We were able to organize. We were able to communicate. We knew who was supposed to be doing what. We grew. We started right before COVID, and we grew 125% in revenue. We added 150 employees. And
you added 150 employees.
Yep.
During COVID.
Yep. About 100.
Around
100 during COVID. Yeah.
Wow. Holy smokes.
Yep. We had been doing it about 6 months when COVID hit. It was really interesting. And I believe that the leaders at that company would agree, we probably wouldn't have survived COVID because we were struggling to have a plan before and stay on the same page. And then when COVID hit, we were 6 months into implementing EOS and we just slid into, hey, we're going to meet every day. We're going to talk about what's going on. We're going to stay on task. And we moved through it really well. We were able to bring on 100 people and we grew, and it was fantastic and continued to grow. They continue to grow now. They're actually even bigger now
Wow.
and have a great leadership team.
They do, and we might as well give them a shout out.
Perfectly
All our
fine.
friends at Kidwell,
Yes, absolutely.
Ryan and Shelly, I'm sure you're listening. So shout out to them because COVID was a really difficult time for a lot of businesses, and the fact that you guys had this and you were headed into it, as you said, made a big difference.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say from a LIBA perspective. You're probably they were on the bigger side of employers that we have as members. And so talk about how EOS can help different size businesses, right? I mean, a lot of LIBA businesses have 5, 10, 15, 20 employees versus, I think Kidwell has 300 plus,
I think it's a lot
maybe they're
bigger than
pushing
that now.
500 now. So
400.
400, but I mean, so there's a big difference,
Mhm.
if you're working in a team of 5 or 10 versus 400. So talk about how EOS can be beneficial across the different sizes of business, I guess.
Absolutely. So we say our target market's about 10 to 250 employees, but it absolutely works at all levels because the tools are simple. There's no rocket science in the book, but it's how it's packaged. And we break down your business into 6 key components that are figuring out your vision, getting a good, solid plan on right people, right seats around people, figuring out your data, making sure you understand your numbers. What are your issues? Understanding, hey, what are the problems in our organization and how do we solve them for the long term greater good? Getting our processes in place. And then also seeing traction by having solid meetings, getting things done every 90 days. And so I find that some of my smaller business clients, it's just the structure of it. Because when you're wearing every hat in the business, you don't even know what day it is. Whereas
Have you been spying on me lately?
No, just maybe some personal experience.
As a one-man band, it's like, whoa.
Yeah. So it gives you a structure to know where to start. What are the most important things that I should be focused on in a business? And so, while I definitely think that there's tools and traction that work better when you have 10 employees, a leadership team, I run my business on EOS because it gives me the ability to know where are my numbers? What do I need to delegate next when I'm able to hire somebody? It allows me to really set a vision for my business, but then know what's the most important thing to execute on. And that's what we see with different sized clients. It's a fully customizable system to where they're at in the stage of their business.
And then I'm assuming that as the business evolves, your 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 tools, your tips, your things that you can implement make a difference as well, right? I mean, it will kind of go with them as you go from 1 to 5 to 10 to on up, right?
Absolutely. The way that the tools are designed is you're always thinking 18 months ahead. What are those people we need to add? What issues or what advantages or opportunities are going to come about as we scale to 5 employees, 10 employees, 15 employees? And we're talking about them and we're thinking ahead about them. So we can put a plan in place to make sure we're executing.
Wow, that's awesome. So are there certain types of businesses that I would say I'll call it your wheelhouse, right? I mean, is it a service business? Is it a construction business? Is it hospitality? Like, where do you think is like your wheelhouse? If we've got our listeners out there and they're interested, talk about kind of the different industries that might be really good or where you see a real benefit with EOS.
Absolutely. So EOS is industry agnostic. It will work for any business because the tools are simple. They're not designed to be a specific industry. I personally have experience in the construction and trade industry, and I have a big passion for the trade industry, especially around the trade gap and labor and making sure that we have good employees as we move into the future. So my experience tends to be in the construction and then IT space. I spent 6 years in that space. And so I tend to focus on those areas, but really I have clients in the financial services space. I have clients in the ag space, and all of the tools work for all of the industries.
Awesome. So you had been with your employer for quite a long time.
Yep.
You did IT, and then you started doing the EOS implementation. I'm always interested in, like, what was that moment? And before we started, I kind of told you about the moment where I was like, okay, I have to make a decision here and go and do. I already had my own business and it was doing some things and it wasn't a full-time thing, but then I had to make that decision. How did you come about that to become a business owner? And then we'll go into some of those questions after that.
Oh, those are hard questions, especially knowing Ryan's listening. So,
That's all right. Ryan will be nice.
No, he won't.
He's a decent guy.
He's
sometimes.
a wonderful
Yeah.
guy.
No, I love Ryan.
Yeah. So, Ryan and I had chatted. We had gotten close, and he knew that I was entrepreneurial and I wanted to do a lot of things. And I have 2 young kids, and we had a lot of conversations. And the cool thing about Kidwell and EOS is they truly want to improve the lives of their employees. And so with that, as I started to talk about, hey, I think I might want to go do this, he really said, okay, what does that look like? What does the transitionary time look like? What do you need? And so we talked through it. We actually worked through it as an issue within EOS, and I was able to gracefully transition, and I think I left them in a good spot. And really for me, it was I wanted to be able to make an impact with more leadership teams. I wanted to do more things. I wanted to be able to control my schedule a little more. My kids play baseball, go Rebels. And
oh boy,
and they were able.
If your kids are playing baseball, your summer is your life is about to get really insane here in about the next.
It already is.
Well, it's going to get more insane.
Oh yeah, for sure. So we definitely, we were able. My husband and I then were able to structure our time a little bit better. I could run them to the practices. I can run them to the games and the tournaments and all of those types of things. And it allowed me to then focus on some of the stuff that I wanted to get done personally. So that's really where a lot of it was. And I just had this deep passion to help more people.
And then now you've been out on your own for about how long now?
It'll be a year in April.
Oh my gosh. So you're just coming up on that 1-year anniversary.
Yep.
Talk about, because I think as business owners, we all sometimes just need therapy, and talk about, like, what were some of the trials and tribulations, like how, and there's a little bit of fear factor, right? Like, I know for me, it was like, and I remember my wife and I were sitting there having a conversation. We were talking about the options ahead, and it was like, it was it was an exciting opportunity. And she's like, you don't seem, there's, what's the hesitation? And I'm like, this is a risk. Like, this is like, I'm a risk taker, but this is like 3 tiers higher of risk. Right. And when we were talking about it, she just looked at me and said, we're going to be okay. Do it. And so talk about some of those kind of working through that for you. I don't know if you had the same thing, but
I did. I said, interesting. I had a very supportive spouse as well. And I tell a lot of people over the last, 9+ months, I think the biggest thing I've gone through has been a therapy journey of figuring out what I want, figuring out what's the best use of my time, figuring out what excites me, what I don't want to do, and being comfortable being uncomfortable. And I think that's like the definition of entrepreneurship is you can start your day absolutely high, and then like 5 minutes later you're low, and then the day it comes back and then you're low again.
Yeah.
It changes every 5 minutes.
It's like the old EKG machine is just going like up and down like this, right?
100%. I can be in tears and be super excited in the same hour. Absolutely. And so for me, it was a financial concern. I had a really great job and I had a really great support system and all of those types of things. But knowing that I wanted to push for more and I wanted to see and I wanted to believe in myself that I could do it. And so going through that, understanding that I needed to have confidence in myself, I needed to trust the system and use the tools to get what I wanted. But then also going through somewhat the grief of leaving a place that I loved, leaving people that I loved. I think also there is really financial fear. As you start a business, you don't have a steady paycheck. You don't know where the next client's going to come from. And that in and of itself, and then you doubt yourself. You're like, I'm never going to get another client. People don't even like me.
Yeah.
You tell yourself people don't even like you.
So did you struggle? So this has been one thing that has been interesting for me over the last. I mean, I've only been doing it a month, so.
Yep.
But like the structure of my day has changed so much, and it's like it took me a little bit of time just to get into like, okay, what do I do? Like, and yesterday I'm making the list. I'm like, here are the things that need to be done. And like, I'm going from here to the office today because I got some things I need to take care of. Like, when I know nobody's going to be coming in. And that's one of the things, like with LIBA, I could get derailed pretty quickly because the phone ring, the emails popping up like crazy, and the people stop in or whatever. But now it's like, okay, I just need to dial in. And actually, they were working on some updates on my office yesterday, so I had to sit in the conference room and just like I forced myself into some things. But what were some of those kind of things like routine wise that you had to get into?
Yeah. So worked in construction, so super early riser, and it was always at work 6:30 in the morning, everything like that. Well, I started by working out of my house, and nobody wants to talk to you at 6:30 in the morning. Nobody.
Correct.
So it was really interesting to understand that I had to change my schedule, but I needed to develop a new schedule. I needed to figure out what were my top 3 priorities every single day. So it was a journey to go through because there was a point I stood in the middle of my living room like, I don't even know what's most important. Because in working in a large organization, you have people that are
Yeah.
doing things. They're doing the accounting, they're doing the HR, they're doing the marketing and all of that stuff. It's you.
Yeah.
And you're trying to figure out, okay, is it important that I answer my accountant's question or post on social media or call that client or call that prospect or take that lunch? You have to figure all that out for yourself. And I'll say it took me 3 to 4 months to really figure that out and figure out that it might change every 3 months.
Well,
Every 3 months.
it's interesting you say that because my business, I work and I'm involved with the legislature. And so, and the legislature is even like complicated because the first part of it is bill introduction. So that's 10 days. And then they go about 4 or 5 weeks or 6 weeks, whatever it is. And it's debate in the morning, hearing in the afternoon, and then they go all day debate. And so like the hearings, like yesterday, I'm like, okay, what are the hearings next week? Okay, here are the bills we need to be ready for. We need to start working testimony. And I mean, so it's like, just the way it evolves so quickly is amazing. So
Yep. You got to stay agile.
okay. So give us an example, maybe, and I think we got to wrap up here pretty quick, but we got about 3 minutes left, but let's give us a couple of examples of like some things where you've really helped the business kind of make a turn and like the joy of what you see in the business.
Yeah. So one of the first clients that I worked with, one of their biggest problems was they were struggling to get their quotes back to their customer. So they had this huge competitive advantage to where they could get to their customer really quickly. And it gave them 2 to 3 extra weeks in quoting time over their competitor. But then they'd come back to the office after doing a walkthrough and they wouldn't get the quote out in those 2 to 3 weeks. And so we were able to use EOS, identify the issue, identify the process that would help resolve that. And I talked to them. They were 60 days into their journey and they were using the process. It wasn't always perfect, but they had put out 5 quotes and they'd already signed 3 of them because they had gotten them out in under 2 weeks. They were measuring that. So they knew when they were succeeding, when they were failing. And one of the biggest issues was they didn't have their crews booked. And so they were really concerned they were going to have to lay people off. Well, because they were able to get 3 of those 5 signed, they were booked for the next 6 months. And so it really helped them see immediate results and that, hey, if you trust the system, if you trust the process, if you measure this and hold yourself accountable, you get great results and your guys are booked out.
That's
and you get
awesome.
revenue.
That's really awesome. So let's talk about how can people find you?
Absolutely. So I have a website, eosworldwide.com/Katie.Kuster, or
And that's KOESTER. And Katie is KATIE.
yes, absolutely. Yep.
Thank God for my 4th grade spelling teachers in Casper, Wyoming. I know they're not listening, but I'm going to give them a shout out anyway.
Very good. So my email is katie.kuster@eosworldwide, or you can reach me on my cell phone, 402-335-8244. That's the best way. Text or call. I always love to talk to people, even if it's just you need some advice and you want to bounce an idea off of. I love to get coffee. I live most of my life off coffee.
And shall we talk
Yeah.
about the beautiful coffee mug that I'm holding up for everyone to see? Katie does like coffee. So, kind of wrapping up here, what are a couple tips you just want to throw out to, especially, business owners that are kind of out there early, or they're just frustrated and like, it just seems like we can't get over the hump. What kind of like a recommendation would you give?
Yeah. So, two of them. The first would be to take a clarity break, 1 hour a week. Go to a coffee shop, go somewhere that isn't your office or your home, take a blank white piece of paper, legal pad, whatever it is, shut your phone off and just sit for an hour. Let your brain release all the things you're worried about. Then you can put them in a list and you can prioritize and start to figure out what you need to tackle.
Oh, I love it. A clarity break.
Yep.
What's number two?
Number two.
How are you going to top that? Because number one is pretty darn good.
I know. I probably should have
led with something else. But that's okay. I'm sure this is good.
Yeah. So then the second thing would be, in that clarity break, think about, what do you want from your business? What's your number one business goal? If you know what you want from your business, if you truly know your why, we can work from there. We can build a plan around that.
That is awesome. So Katie Kuster, EOS Worldwide, Katie.Kuster, that's KATIE.KOESTER at EOSworldwide.com, right?
Yep.
Check her out. Really cool things. I think she can really do some great things for your business. Give her a call, shoot her an email, check her out, visit with her, come out, take her out for coffee and pick her brain. It'll be great for it. So, Katie, thanks so much for coming on the LIBA Business Hour today. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. We'll be back after this on 93.7 The Ticket.
Picture a hot summer day, sun blazing in the fields as far as the eye can see. Now imagine, you're a teenager making bank, all while enjoying the great outdoors. Welcome to Nats Detasseling Inc., where they're not afraid to sweat. This summer, join the Nats team for an unforgettable experience. Forge friendships, learn responsibility, and earn money. Visit notafraidtosweat.com now. Nats Detasseling, where hard work meets good times.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. What about those round trips, which are perfect on your way there and perfect on your way back? Or those meetings with friends, surprise parties, camps, birthdays. The same way you plan for the important moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
A smoke-free environment is the only way to fully protect from the dangers of secondhand smoke. That's why smoke-free policies are so important to me. Whether it's in my car, apartment building, or when I'm dining outdoors, there's no place for secondhand smoke or e-cigarette aerosol. Breathe easier knowing the facts. Visit smokefree.ne.gov. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Happy New Year's!
UStop is starting 2024 off on the right foot, and you can too.
For every gallon sold on Tuesdays in January, UStop will donate 2 cents of every gallon sold to the Lead Center for the Performing Arts.
The Lead Center has provided Lincoln with the best entertainment and educational opportunities for the youth in our community.
I just got done with my first singing class. You stop at you stop.
Giving back is as easy as filling up on Tuesdays.
You stop at you stop.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them? By their clothes, their age, the way they speak? Would you notice a 16-year-old boy who got his first job,
not for extra spending money, but to help feed his little sisters?
Or a mother who's in between jobs and sometimes goes to bed hungry so her kids can have dinner? Or a 14-year-old girl who signs up to every after-school activity, not to make friends, but just to get something to eat? Or a retiree who fell ill and had to choose
between getting medicine or groceries.
I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. People you pass by every day but never knew were hungry. I am hunger in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Banks Strong, and the Ad Council.
Husker fans, this is Matt Davison with the 1890 Initiative. You've probably heard about NIL, name, image, and likeness. And now you can have an immediate impact on the success of our programs. The 1890 Initiative is Nebraska's premier NIL company. And with your help, we can maximize our student athletes' opportunities with NIL and prepare them for life after college. Nebraska has always been a leader in college athletics. Let's do the same with NIL. To learn more, visit 1890nebraska.com, where 100% of your donation goes directly to Husker student athletes. That's 1890nebraska.com.
Okay, kids, Dad's gonna teach you how to dance. First, spread your feet apart. Then, pump your knee, nod your head, shake your hips, and bite your lip ever so slightly. Now, with one hand in the air, point at people with the other hand. I call that the rock star.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your kids.
Now, make a face like it just smells something bad.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Happy Hour. Husker softball in all preseason polls. In the 4 polls, 13th, 15th, 17th, and 18th. USA Softball is part of that. Softball America is one of them as well. D1 Softball. Top 20 as a team, and they have at least 2 players in every top 50, top 100 poll, with Jordy Ball being anywhere from second. Honestly, I think third was her lowest ranking in some of those. And Billy Andrews. Usually it's those 2. There was one that had Kate Kaneda.
Weekdays from 1 to 2 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Are you searching for a helping hand in life? Look no further. Integrated Behavioral Health Services is your answer. They're your compassionate, trusted partners committed to guiding you from challenges to triumphs. Their licensed professionals offer personalized therapy for individuals, couples, and families. At IBHS, the focus is you. Experience a life-changing transformation in an environment tailored to your unique needs. Visit ibhealthservices.com today and take that first step towards a brighter future. Discover the power of healing with Integrated Behavioral Health Services. You're not alone. Let them walk this journey with you.
Back to the LIBA Business Hour on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. This segment sponsored by Integrated Behavioral Health Services.
Welcome back to the LIBA Business Hour. This segment is sponsored by Integrated Behavioral Health Services, building a stronger, healthier community through advocacy, inclusion, perseverance, unity, and compassion. Learn more at ibhealthservices.com. All right, this second segment, I am excited to have Brandy Johnson from Black Hills Energy with us. Brandy and I have known each other a long time, and we've done a lot of work together over the years, so I'm excited to have a one-on-one. Brandy, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Bud. Good morning.
Oh, good morning. It's so good to have you. And I'm excited to bring you on to talk about Black Hills Energy because I think most people probably don't know everything that you guys are involved in. So why don't we just start with the easiest question for you to answer is kind of give us some background of Black Hills Energy and all that you offer here in our community, in our state.
Yeah, you bet. So,
and I'll take a break for 15 minutes while you answer that question.
Okay, have some coffee. I'll cover the rest of it. I probably could cover it in that amount of time or, less. But yeah, so that's a great question, right? So, like a lot of folks, before I came to work for Black Hills, I just mostly knew that I paid a bill monthly.
You send them a check once a month.
My house was warm.
Yeah.
And my water was hot. So thank you. But there's so much to it, right? And so, we know it as Black Hills Energy here in Nebraska, but the company began in South Dakota. That's where our headquarters are. That's where
hence
our
the
roots
Black
are.
Hills, Rapid City,
Yep.
right?
Nailed it, right? So our corporate office is there.
I've actually been to your corporate office.
Ooh.
Have I told you that?
You have not.
When I lived in South Dakota, I lived in Spearfish, and I was the athletic director at Black Hills State University, Go Jackets. And we actually did a lot of, Black Hills is a great corporate citizen, which we'll get into later.
Yep.
But we were in there once or twice a year meeting with the big dogs up in Rapids. So there you go.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad you've been
See,
there.
crazy
it's a
things that-
beautiful part of the country.
Oh my God, love it.
Yeah, so in 2008, Black Hills Energy bought Aquila, which is how they came to Nebraska. And so, yep, so that happened in 2008, and that's how we know Black Hills Energy today. And the company's just continued to grow since then.
So here in Lincoln, Black Hills provides
Natural gas. So
natural gas.
Yep. So we keep houses warm and keep the water hot and keep the delicious food coming for a lot of restaurants.
Those
And
gas stoves.
yep, all over, right? That's what chefs prefer. So
So
yeah.
in other parts of the country, Black Hills provides other sources of energy, right? Like
Yep, that's true.
they do
So
electricity
yeah,
up in
that's how
South
we
Dakota. Is that
started.
right? Okay.
Yep, started out as an electric utility, bringing power to the miners. And so yeah, so we've got electric utilities in South Dakota and Wyoming, and of course and also in Colorado.
Excellent. So, everybody, like you said, what you knew about Black Hills was, hey, I pay a bill every month and my house stays warm and my stove works and I got hot water. So explain to people kind of how natural gas fits into their day-to-day lives.
Yeah. So, like a lot of utilities, you don't really think about it, right? Like it's just there when you need it. You flip a light switch,
The light comes on, that's always a good thing.
yep, stream a movie, whatever the case may be, it's all there. And so yeah, so we provide that service, right? So furnaces, water heaters, stoves, fireplaces, like I turned on mine
Oh,
this
that's right.
morning.
Fireplaces. I forgot about
Yep.
fireplaces.
And then some lucky people also have it for grills, so they never run out of propane because they've got a natural gas grill, so it's always there. Your steak's going to get fully cooked.
So when we first moved to Nebraska, when I was in the 5th grade, 40 plus years ago, we had a grill in our backyard, and it was like, what's this? We moved here from Wyoming. I'm like, what the heck is this? And they're like, oh, that's the gas grill. And we just turn on the button and the gas comes and we light it and we can grill our steaks and stuff. I was like, wow, that's kind of wild. Now,
Yeah.
do a lot of people still have those? They
Um,
seem to be popular back in the early 80s or mid 80s, whenever that was, but I don't know if I see as many of that now.
I think we see some more in like the higher end backyards, right? So you're gonna want your
The
fire
great
pit.
big,
Yep. So you're gonna add the fire pit, and why not add the connection to your grill while you're at it? Your outdoor
Awesome.
kitchen.
That's awesome. So, so you talked about heating, we talked about cooking a little bit, but also I think the hot water one is one that people probably don't make that connection between Black Hills. Like when they turn on the shower, I'm pretty sure they don't say, thank you, Black Hills Energy, for a nice warm shower this morning.
Well, I do, but you're right.
You, of course, do.
You're right. That's probably when people don't quite make the connection to, but certainly it's when you can see the flame, right? So,
Mhm.
flipping on that fireplace,
Yes.
especially when we've got colder mornings and terrible weather like we had for most of January.
Oh my gosh, that was crazy.
Yeah, apparently we had 4 named storms. So it felt like the weather just kept coming.
Yeah, and the temperature, like we just couldn't get a break.
It was
Like when it got to 3, we were like, woohoo! It's,
oh my goodness. Yeah.
So talk about, so I'm guessing this is is this kind of the height of when people are consuming natural gas? Like talk about kind of the annual
Yeah.
ups and downs of when people are consuming natural gas.
Well, not today, because we've got, more mild weather, but my furnace was still running this morning as it gets cool. So yeah, certainly the winter heating season, right? So here in Nebraska, that's when we're using the most gas for heating our homes. But, actually we've seen some shifts over the last few years as more electricity nationally is generated with electricity or with natural gas. So seeing peaks in the, more throughout the year, including in the summer. And then I saw a stat that, those storms, they were not just here, right? Like they were pretty widespread.
They were almost countrywide. Yeah, it felt like.
Yeah. And it was cold, like 40 below with the wind chill. It was cold and it felt like it lasted forever. And we weren't just, feeling it when our furnaces kicked on and ran nonstop. But we did hit, according to the American Gas Association, a new peak for natural gas consumption with that storm.
Really? Was that
Mhm.
like a new peak over a period of time, or was that like on a certain day, or was it like over the course of a week, or how did that work?
Yeah, I don't know the time frame that they
Okay.
attribute it to, but they said that we had hit a new peak, and so we used a lot of energy to stay warm over those days.
So, how in the world are you guys able to deliver natural gas all across Lincoln? And you're pretty much statewide at this point too, right? For
Yeah,
the most
that's
part,
right. Yeah, we serve over 300 communities from border to border. So, yep, the whole state.
So, how is your system like? It's amazing to me when we talk about energy, whether it's electric, gas, whatever, like how you're able to deliver that.
Yeah.
And it's like, how does that happen? Like, how do we get natural gas to our house?
Yeah, well, thank you for asking me that because as I was, thinking about coming here today and the work that I get to do for Black Hills, right? Talking, typing, that's my forte, not turning a wrench or doing the math with our engineering team or all of the people that really, make it possible, right? So we take gas from suppliers, interstate pipeline companies that bring it up from different production areas. And then our job as a local distribution company is to distribute that gas. So we, push it out through underground piping and some above ground things to homes.
Is that
and
how it gets to
businesses.
Nebraska? Through pipelines and all that kind of stuff?
Yep.
It's okay.
Yep.
So it's not like the gas that we get in our cars that they have
No.
the tanker truck that pulls up and Mark Whitehead opens up the cash register, fuel tanks, and they fill it up and then goes like that, right?
Uh, well, kind of. So we actually do deliver compressed natural gas. And
Oh.
so sometimes natural gas can be trucked to
Okay.
places where there's not a pipeline system, right?
Okay.
Or renewable natural gas as that becomes more common and is being produced at, landfills and other places. Sometimes that gets compressed and then trucked on those trucks to a place where they can inject it into the pipeline system. And there's vehicles that run on compressed natural gas. So our red trolleys that run around town here in Lincoln,
Okay.
several of the StarTran buses,
Oh, wow.
Uribe's running several garbage trucks or refuse trucks that are running on CNG. And
Really?
yeah, and they do it because it's incredibly clean when it burns. And so the emissions from a CNG heavy duty vehicle
Mhm.
are just minimal when you compare it to what those diesel trucks are running.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, so I mentioned this earlier, and I think it's important to talk about because you guys are a very, very, very strong corporate citizen.
Yeah.
Talk about why that's in. Let's start off. Just talk about why that's important to Black Hills Energy to be so strong in the community.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's part of our legacy, right? And so it comes from the top. As you know, we're heavily committed in one way across the whole company to United Way. And so we've been longtime United Way supporters across our footprint, and of course here in Lincoln. But then it extends beyond that, right? It's the volunteering, it's the giving back in so many ways. We have a foundation that we are super fortunate to have that funds, we funded projects and parks and community projects all over the state and here in Lincoln too.
That's phenomenal. And so talk about because I think it's important to mention this. Like that's a corporate culture thing. When you guys have the foundation encouraging volunteerism, doing all these kind of things, being active with United Way across your entire footprint across the company, talk about like the culture that drives that because I think that's important for people to hear about.
Yeah, I think that's really important, right? And you can't really be voluntold to care about your community,
That usually
right?
happens when you don't show up at a board meeting and you get voluntold that you have to do something, right?
That's true. That's true. But yeah, it's really part of the fabric, right? So, everybody at all levels is giving back, but then also we come alongside people about causes that they care about too, right? So if we have somebody that's serving on a board here in the community, we want to make sure we're supporting that organization. We have somebody that's, donating their time. We have a group of uh, people in our office who have been delivering Meals on Wheels for the last year with Tabitha. And that was not something that, community affairs or corporate citizenship said, you should go do this. Everybody sign up.
Somebody just said, "Hey, I want to do this."
They came to me and they're like, "Hey, Brandy, we want to do this thing with Tabitha and deliver Meals on Wheels." I'm like, "That's awesome. Can I sign up?" "Oh, sorry, it's all full."
But that's cool though. Like
Mhm.
it's cool when a company encourages a culture where their employees can say, "I want to do X" or "I want to do Y" or whatever it might be. Because when it comes from them, like you said, instead of being voluntold, like we're all going to go pick up trash on O Street tomorrow. Like that's a little different than, hey, I want to do this. I'd like to do this. And I've got a bunch of my friends. And when it starts that way, I think you also see if it matters to one of your coworkers that you care about, then you're probably going to do it to help them at least and get engaged that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also think, over the years, I've learned too that it's also because the work we do can be so personal, right? So, our team is in people's homes. They're seeing, firsthand what it's like if somebody's struggling to pay their bill that month.
Yeah.
And so they want to help and they want to give back because they care.
That's awesome. And so what are some of the other organizations that you
Yeah.
guys support? I mean, okay, first of all, I'll just fully disclose you guys are awesome supporters of LIBA. We
Yeah.
appreciate that. But but you talked about Meals on Wheels. What are some of the other community organizations that you guys you see your employees really enjoy being a part of?
Yeah. Well, there's a ton. One time I pulled every logo from all the organizations we supported to put on a
And you had
slide. It was so
you
many.
had how many slides?
So many. Like,
Because it
there's
wasn't
so
a
many.
slide. It would be
Yeah. Yeah. And it's truly a legacy, right?
Mhm.
I've at one point I asked Junior Achievement, I said, how long have we been supporting Junior Achievement here in Lincoln? Because I know several retirees who've supported it over the years. And I asked the question and they couldn't tell me because it's gone back so far.
That's awesome. So I'm glad to hear you say that. I'm a huge JA fan, advocate. Tony, if you're listening, you can confirm. But I love to be able to be there in there with the students. And it's fun because I do most of the grades at Cathedral School because that's where my daughter goes. And this is now like my 4th year with my daughter's class. So each year they keep asking me back. And then the teachers that I had the previous year, like, hey, you could come back to my class this year. So now basically from kindergarten to 6th grade, I'm all over the place.
Same.
But for me, when I went to that school 40 years ago. So 40 years ago, I was a 6th grader at Cathedral and my daughter's now a 6th grader. Like we didn't have JA.
No.
And one of the fun evolutions that I've watched at Cathedral is when I was there might have been 10 parents that owned their own business back in the early mid 80s, 40 years ago. So do the math. But now I would say there's probably at least 5 to 7 to 10 in each grade that have a parent. So that entrepreneurship and being able to encourage that and letting kids talk about ideas and like letting them dive into those ideas is just awesome. So thank you for being in this wasn't supposed to be a JA segment, but I
It's
just think
great,
it's
though.
awesome. But
Yeah.
it's great for our community to have
yeah.
kids thinking about it. So.
Yeah, I love it. I've taught my kids too. Kindergarten and going. I just got my connection yesterday for my son's 5th grade class. And so it's great. I love it. We've got a lot of folks that have done that for a long time. And that's just, one of them. But one thing I do want to touch on before we run out of time is our partnership with the Salvation Army.
Oh, yes.
So that's one way that, anybody listening can come alongside us. We help fund their heat share program. And so we have,
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah,
Awesome program.
we take donations for that through our Black Hills Cares program and match them. So you can double your impact if you just add that $1 or $2 to your bill.
So you can just add that onto I want to make
Yeah.
sure we really dive that and emphasize that. So if you want to give an extra $1 or $5 or $10 a month, whatever you give, Black Hills is going to match that.
That's right.
That's going to go help people with the Salvation Army with their heating program.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We had one gentleman who actually left $30,000 to the program several years ago, and we matched that.
Like in his estate type thing?
Yep, sure
Wow,
did.
that's
And
awesome.
So yeah, that's just one way that you can come alongside us, and that all goes to the Salvation Army to help people.
That's
with their
one thing
bills.
I love about our community is it really comes together and brings everybody together. So, okay, Brandy, we got about a minute left.
All right.
So what did we not cover? I don't think
Oh,
I even
goodness.
asked you any of the questions that I told you I was going to ask you. What do you want everybody to know about Black Hills Energy as we wrap up the session?
Yeah, I think we covered a lot, right? I guess one thing we didn't talk about that I would share is follow us on social. So as we've had winter and terrible cold weather, we have pushed out a ton of really informational, helpful videos with our team ready to help people understand how they can be more efficient and use less energy. It's like this whole sort of Mike and Maria. They'll just show you what to do.
Oh, fun.
It's great.
Awesome. So check out Black Hills Energy on social media. check out those videos, kind of help be more efficient this winter. I know we all want to stay warm and we want our bill to be as low as possible. So we want to be as warm as possible and pay as little as possible, right? So,
True.
Brandy, thanks again for all you do and all that Black Hills Energy does for our community, for LIBA, everyone in this town. We really appreciate that. And thanks for coming on the show.
Really good to be here.
Thank you very much. We'll be back after this on 93.7 The Ticket.
Are you searching for a helping hand in life? Look no further. Integrated Behavioral Health Services is your answer. They're your compassionate, trusted partners committed to guiding you from challenges to triumphs. Their licensed professionals offer personalized therapy for individuals, couples, and families. At IBHS, the focus is you. Experience a life-changing transformation in an environment tailored to your unique needs. Visit ibhealthservices.com today and take that first step towards a brighter future. Discover the power of healing with Integrated Behavioral Health Services. You're not alone. Let them walk this journey with you.
Picture a hot summer day, sun blazing in the fields as far as the eye can see. Now imagine you're a teenager making bank, all while enjoying the great outdoors. Welcome to Nats Detasseling Inc., where they're not afraid to sweat. This summer, join the Nats team for an unforgettable experience. Forge friendships, learn responsibility, and earn money. Visit notafraidtosweat.com now. Nats Detasseling, where hard work meets good times.
And with the 1890 initiative, you've probably heard about NIL, name, image, and likeness. And now you can have an immediate impact on the success of our programs. The 1890 initiative is Nebraska's premier NIL company. And with your help, we can maximize our student athletes' opportunities with NIL and prepare them for life after college. Nebraska has always been a leader in college athletics. Let's do the same with NIL. To learn more, visit 1890nebraska.com, where 100% of your donation goes directly to Husker student athletes. That's 1890nebraska.com.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it twice a day.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it in the morning and before dinner.
I get it, slip it, cuff it, check it, and share it with my doctor. Nearly 1 in 2 U.S. adults have high blood pressure. That's why it's important to self-monitor your blood pressure in 4 easy-to-remember steps. It starts with a monitor.
Now that I know my blood pressure numbers, I talked with my doctor. We're getting those numbers down.
Get it, slip it, cuff it, check it. Talk to doctor now and share it.
Be next to talk to your doctor about your blood pressure numbers. Get down with your blood pressure. Self-monitoring is power. Learn more at manageyourbp.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the American Heart Association, and the American Medical Association, in partnership with the Office of Minority Health and Health Resources and Services Administration.
Happy New Year's!
U-Stop is starting 2024 off on the right foot, and you can too.
For every gallon sold on Tuesdays in January, U-Stop will donate 2 cents of every gallon sold to the Lead Center for the Performing Arts.
The Lead Center has provided Lincoln with the best entertainment and educational opportunities for the youth in our community.
I just got done with my first singing class. U-Stop at U-Stop.
Giving back is as easy as filling up on Tuesdays.
U-Stop at U-Stop.
A lot of work goes into making Nebraska, Nebraska. Keeping it green. Helping it thrive. Making it fun. Everything that goes into caring for our outdoors, from waters to wildlife, plays a big role in making Nebraska home. Learn how we help conserve our state's natural resources at outdoornebraska.org.
Paid for by Nebraska Game and Parks. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
The captain, Vershawn Jackson.
Hilriola, the doctor, the Polynesian Bowl. He had a lot of throws. He made a couple nice throws. He threw outs. He threw a deep dig. He threw a slant that went to the house. There were so many different passes that we saw him. And he's got a little quick twitch. Is he fast? No. Quick twitch? Yes. It was good to see him moving around. Listen, he connected with, guess who?
Carter Nelson.
Thank you. We got a chance to see Carter twice. It was good for me to watch that because I think that's a precursor of what's the.
You can get diesel anywhere, but what about Atomic Diesel? That comes from Stern. Atomic Diesel is your solution to all your cold weather problems. Prevent clogged fuel filters, increase your fuel economy, and save money with Atomic Diesel. Contact Roger at Stern today by calling 1-800-477-2744 to see how Atomic Diesel and the rest of their line of fuels and lubricants can keep your operation running at max capacity.
Are you searching for a helping hand in life? Look no further. Integrated Behavioral Health Services is your answer. They're your compassionate, trusted partners committed to guiding you from challenges to triumphs. Their licensed professionals offer personalized therapy for individuals, couples, and families. At IBHS, the focus is you. Experience a life-changing transformation in an environment tailored to your unique needs. Visit ibhealthservices.com today and take that first step towards a brighter future. Discover the power of healing with Integrated Behavioral Health Services. You're not alone. Let them walk this journey with you.
Back to the LIBA Business Hour on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. This segment sponsored by U-Stop and Whitehead Oil.
Welcome back to the LIBA Business Hour. This segment is sponsored by the 1890 Initiative, helping student athletes excel within the NIL landscape. Learn more about how you can be involved at 1890nebraska.com. So we've got a few things coming up here for LIBA. I just want to make sure we get out there, get those events on your calendar. On the 8th of September, we have BizNet, which is going to be hosted by Mosaic down there on South 48th Street, 5631 South 48th. The 20th of February will be the monthly LIBA luncheon from 11:30 to 1 o'clock over at the Jasmine Room at the Grand Manse. 27th is Coffee and Contacts, hosted by Spectrum Reach at 4645 Normal Boulevard. And also mark your calendars, April 11th, the annual Free Enterprise Celebration will be at Pinnacle Bank Arena. It is one of the most fun premier dinner and auction events in the city. You'll want to be there. And also the cool thing about having it at Pinnacle Bank Arena is there is free parking in the garage attached to the arena. Woo. So not much is free in this world, Ben, but free parking when you're at an event is a good thing. So, and just a couple of other quick things on LIBA, and then I want to pick Ben's brain a little bit. So I would encourage you to check out the committees at LIBA. The Government Affairs Committee is monitoring what's being done at the city, state, federal level on issues that affect business. It's a good way to learn more about that. Membership and Events Committee, they're the ones that are planning all these great events that happen every month. They're looking at new ways to do member benefits and what we can do to serve the members better. The PR and Branding Committee is what helps LIBA with their outward communications and things that LIBA's doing in the community. And then also Community Access, where they engage a lot of elected officials to come in and talk about projects that are happening in and around Lincoln. And it's just a great way to be more engaged with LIBA and to be better involved in LIBA. So, all right, Ben, holy cannolis. What a week in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Yes.
So the men's basketball team,
they did pretty good.
Unfreaking believable. So we were watching the game and I was like, okay, so we watched the first half and my wife went to bed. It's like, I'm going to bed. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to watch, so I had it on. I'm doing stuff around the living room and I'm like, oh, well, they're not, the lead isn't getting extended.
Yeah.
They cut it from 16 to 13 or whatever. And I'm like, maybe we got a little run in us. And oh my God, what a run it was. So I was cheating. Someone left their sheets here. I think it was probably Strick, because he is the premier basketball analyst here at 93.7 The Ticket.
Yep.
Outscored Wisconsin 53-29 in the second half.
Yeah.
Strick, I'm sure you're up Saturday morning listening to the LIBA Business Hour. I want to give you a shout out and thank you for leaving your notes. But that was an amazing second half. And it wasn't generally, if you say we score that many points in the second half, you're going to say either Tominaga went on a tear.
He only had two.
And he only had two. And he didn't play a lot the last 6 or 8 minutes, but Wiltshire had the hot hand. But it was electric. Were you at the game?
No, we had the Day Nebraska had somebody else covering it,
okay.
so I wasn't able to go. But yeah, the court storming, you could just hear it though when you're watching it.
Watching
even
on
the
TV,
yeah, you could hear it.
I noticed one thing. I don't remember who it was shooting free throws, and it looked like to me the backboard was swaying. I mean, it was the students were jumping, everybody's jumping around, and
that's crazy.
You know, I remember the No Sit Sunday from 10 years ago or whatever it was, and they talked about it actually on the BTN broadcast. They're like, 10 years ago it was No Sit Sunday, and I think they're having a no sit tonight. You know, because it was just that kind of electric atmosphere. And then downtown after the game, I heard was insane.
Yeah,
down in the rail yard, the Haymarket area, and again, that's awesome for local businesses when that team is on a roll. But 14-1 at home.
Yeah, it's crazy.
1-5 on the road. So we got to figure out that road thing.
And they have Illinois and Northwestern on the road coming up. Both two tough games. But another thing I want to point out, Wisconsin didn't have a single bench point in the second half or overtime. Not one person on their bench scored a point.
That's insane. The other statistic that I thought was insane was they were 120-0. Since the year 2000, when leading by 15 or more at halftime,
and now they're 120-1.
And it's just amazing. I don't know. There is something about Pinnacle Bank Arena.
It's crazy.
And I mean, and I'm not saying that about this team, but there have been teams in the past that have beaten teams at Pinnacle Bank Arena. They had no business beating.
Yeah.
And it's just, it was funny. I think there was an article in the paper this week that said Pinnacle Bank Arena is where good teams come to die.
Specifically Big Ten teams come to die.
Unbelievable. So it was electric. And then I heard the electricity downtown afterwards, which is great for the economy. It's great for our local businesses and all those kind of things. But so what are your kind of thoughts on that game other than what we've already talked about? It was
Nebraska's going to make the NCAA tournament. That's my thought.
Unbelievable.
I don't know how to, I don't know how good this team is with how far they can go in the tournament, but I think this one secured that.
Well, that's two. What do they call them? Tier 1 or
that's 2 top 10 wins.
Yeah, but they have like the tier wins, that they
quad
two
one.
of those quad one wins. There you go. Thank you. See, that's why Ben's here. He holds me accountable. I appreciate it. We will be back next week here on 93.7 The Ticket. Join us for the LIBA Business Hour. In the meantime, make sure you're out shopping and supporting our local businesses. We'll see you next week.
I'm Jenny Benson, president of the Nebraska State Education Association. The best way to strengthen our economy for the long term is investing in our education system and raising the skills of American workers. To succeed in the global economy, we need to modernize our schools, hire excellent teachers, and focus on the future. Support great public schools, and we can make the good life even better.